In this video, we're going to look at how to find the volume of 3D figures. So first, let's talk about what is volume. Volume is the amount of space inside of a 3D object. And the answer is always in cubic units, which means you're going to put a little 3 with your units to show that it's volume. You're fortunate enough this year that you're always going to have this reference sheet available to you, which means these 4 formulas you don't need to memorize, you just need to know how to use. So let's look at some examples. In this case, we have a rectangular prism. The volume of a rectangular prism is length times width times height. My length is 10, my width is 3, and my height is 4. So to show my work, I'm going to show that I'm multiplying 10 times 3 times 4. And when I multiply those numbers together, I get 120 inches cubed. Next, let's look at a pyramid. The volume of a pyramid is 1/3 base times height. And the base is the area of the entire base, which means we're going to have to do some calculations first. So let's look at our pyramid. We've got a length of 4, a width of 10, and the height of my pyramid is 6. And you'll notice the shape of the base is a rectangle, which means the area of the base is going to be found by doing 4 times 10. So I'm going to show my work by plugging in these numbers. So 1/3 times the area of the base, which is 4 times 10, times the height of 6. And when I multiply those together, I get 80 centimeters cubed. Next, let's look at a cylinder. The formula for the volume of a cylinder is pi times radius squared times height. So in this cylinder, my height is 21, my diameter is 16, which means the radius is going to be 8. So I'm going to plug these numbers into my formula. A lot of times you'll be asked to use 3.14 for pi, and then times my radius squared, 8 squared times the height, 21. And the volume. Sometimes you're going to be asked to find the volume in terms of pi. So while that might sound tricky, it's actually less work, because what that means is you're not going to multiply your work by pi. So you're simply just going to multiply the radius squared times height. So 8 squared times 21, which is 1,344 pi. So you put pi with your answer. That way someone else would know that that doesn't include pi with your volume. But if you were asked just to find the volume with pi, then to the nearest tenth, and sometimes you'll see the little squiggly equal sign, that means that I rounded. So you know it's not an exact answer, it's an approximate answer. So 4,220.16 units cubed. And now a cone. So my formula for the volume of a cone is 1/3 pi r squared times h. Now this might look familiar, the formula. You'll notice the second part of the formula is the exact same thing as a cylinder, just a cone is 1/3 of the volume of a cylinder. So if a cone and a cylinder have the same radius and the same height, the cone is going to be exactly 1/3 of the volume. So in this case, the height of my cone is 8, the radius is 2. So I'm going to show my work by plugging these numbers in for my formula. And when I multiply those together, I get my volume to be approximately 33 and 49/100 inches cubed. And lastly, let's look at a sphere. So the volume of a sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed. So in this case, I've got a diameter of 42, which means my radius is going to be 21. So I'm going to show my work by substituting these numbers in, multiply them all together, and the volume of this sphere is approximately 38,772.72 centimeters cubed.